Ladies and gentlemen, well, it looks like the issue has gotten even worse for Genshin Impact. The issue has gotten even worse for its voice actors because, well, you guessed it, Paimon's VA, Miss Corina Beettger, is back at it again to just fuck it all up all over again. And this time, well, Hero Hay's back at it with another video, courtesy of Marvel Rivals, to talk about just how the situation has gotten even crazier. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse. Let's go ahead and get right on into it and see how this situation has gotten worse.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Today we've got a very interesting update on Paimon VA Karina Boettger. While Karina's activity on social media seems to have been decreasing ever since the whole Jacob Takanashi thing, where a number of English voice actors got exposed for being manipulative, toxic, etc., etc.
Rest in peace, Kaylee Mills. Maybe we should check. Is her Twitter still deleted? Oh, it's back. I guess the respawn timer went through. Yeah, she's back. She actually deleted her Twitter for at least a couple of weeks after the whole issue. And I guess she's just not talking about it anymore. Let's see over here. Yeah, no. She's all business now. She's become a true professional. Yeah, she's not talking about anything anymore. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. We've learned how to behave. It only took us like 20-something, maybe 30-something years. We're good. We're good.
It seems like instead Karina's been very active over on BlueSky, where Karina and other voice actors in that clique seem to be very upset at those who criticize their actions. Of course,
guys, who actually uses BlueSky? I'm still actually wondering. I'm personally of the opinion that BlueSky is one of the best things that happened to like the modern population, because it's basically like a self-imposed quarantine of all the people who are just like schizo posting on a daily basis. It's basically like it is literally a self-imposed quarantine. Yeah, all of the freaks go there. It's just, you know exactly what to avoid if you don't want a free headache, because that is the only thing I feel like you are getting from BlueSky. It's just I've said it once, I'll say it again. Basically, using BlueSky is like a self-admission that you like are a loser. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that this is the sort of discussion that's going on over there. I hope he dives into it.
Of course, I'm talking about actions such as the harassment of Jacob Takanashi, how a number of these sort of voice actors were lying about their strike, and how it turned out to not even be an official strike, and instead what they're now calling a collective work refusal.
Yeah, Joe Zija's the MVP for that one. I'm gonna be real here. I did not think that there was gonna be a union VA like Joe Zija just coming in and just swinging his massive dong around, and then he just blows up half of his fellow VAs for the game. He just throws like all of them under the bus and just says, yeah, all those guys that said they were striking, they've just been lying for the past year and a half. Yeah, it's not even a real strike. Like, isn't it just crazy for somebody to just walk in and fucking do that? Basically, like, indict, I think it was like at least like 10, 15, 20 VAs as a whole. Yeah, they're all just fucking liars. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it takes some balls to do that. I'm pretty sure they don't like him right now. I'm pretty sure they don't like him very much right now for doing that.
So yeah, you know, things like that. Stuff that we've been talking about for the last few weeks, on and off. Before we go to BlueSky and take a look at some of that recent stuff, let's hop over to Karina's TikTok and check out Karina's last TikTok post.
She needs to delete all of her social media platforms. She needs to delete all of them immediately. She needed to delete them yesterday.
Well, not really the post itself, but the comments on it. We can now see comments such as, please ignore all the positive comments. Spoiler alert, there are basically no positive.
This is why she needed to delete it yesterday. That's crazy. Wait, the top comment with 2,700 likes. Please ignore everything supporting her. Please ignore everything supporting her. I cannot wait for you to lose your job. Every other VA is...
comments anymore anyways. Can't wait for Paimon's VA recast. Alcoga is better VA than you. Can't wait for the non-problematic VA. Kenichi is better than Paimon, by the way. I hope Paimon has a new VA. I've never hoped that someone would be fired and never hired again so much in my life. Get out.
Does she just not care? Does she just not care that anytime she posts anything regarding the VA issue, this is the response that she's gonna get? Does this just not faze her? Hey, I'm gonna be real, right? She might be posting dumb shit basically every other day with basically like no cooldown, but like Let's be honest here. She's got the mental of a fucking tank. Yeah, no, she's the fucking mental juggernaut. Yeah, she's a psychic juggernaut. How is she just able to deal with this? It's like no reaction.
Did you find a new job? So this whole time, there's no strike. The VAs, especially you, have been throwing a fit, bullied someone who's actually doing his job, mind you, needs the money because he has a family. The rest gets cut off here. I don't know.
Yeah, and remember what Kaylee Mills said about that?
Yeah, when it comes to Jacob Takanashi, I bet his wife's actually the real breadwinner. I bet he's just like a bum that just lays on the couch all day and doesn't actually contribute anything to the family finances. So him skipping out and turning down the role wouldn't really matter. Doesn't matter that they bought a house too and have 2 kids. I don't think he really does anything. Yeah, I bet his wife does all the spending and all the earning. Imagine pocket watching your coworker's mortgage. I honestly do think that Kaylee Mills' thing actually is pretty worse than Paimon's. Paimon's just being like stupid and like just not understanding like rules about the strike. Kaylee Mills was doing like some parasocial fucking stalking of like somebody with like 1% of the work experience that she has, and then like commenting on like the financial dynamics of his fucking marriage. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I do think the Kaylee Mills, the Kaching VA situation was actually way worse now that I think about it. In reflection, considering everything that's going on, it was worse.
No, I can't see the rest of it. Continuing a little bit more though, and yeah, these are all the most liked comments on that TikTok. Can't wait for your replacement. Waiting for your replacement. How are we more mature than a 35-year-old woman?
She's 35.
Hope this helps.
Don't listen to the positive comments. But yeah, I can't even see any positive comments anyways. We gotta recast Paimon. No one wants someone who bullies another VA for something they didn't know. Now then, let's sit back and see the comments roll in. At this point, just pretend nothing happened until the end of the line. You ruined the strike for all your fellow VAs. It goes beyond Kenichi VA now. This is the point of no return anyways. So it's actually pretty hilarious, the stuff that people are coming up with and commenting on there. And that's just a very small sample size. There are literally hundreds of comments just like those. I mean, to be even more specific, there's like 700 plus comments that all seem to be critical. And that's just on Karina's latest video. It seems like that same thing's been happening on a number of videos that Karina has made since the whole Jacob Takanashi thing occurred. Okay, you know what? Here's one more comment I want to show you guys. This is from a different video. So
oh no. This one has to be an absolute seismic banger if he wanted to like show it just from a separate video. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I need to mentally prepare for this one. It's been an absolute fucking onslaught. I'm getting like stressed on her behalf after seeing all those comments just from posting a video. Like she gotta moderate it at least, right? Like that has to not feel good for your video to get fucking bombed like that every time you post one.
this person says to Karina, "We all love you so much." We all say as our wooden noses grow.
Damn, they brought the homie Pinocchio into this shit too.
I thought that one was pretty clever. But okay, now we'll hop over to BlueSky and take a look at this little rant from Karina. Responding to this person, Crystal, and saying, "So you're gonna ignore that you said these alt-right anti-union talking points?" You can see a deleted post. So presumably Crystal ended up deleting the post or something. We got these screenshots. Let's see what this says. Oh my gosh, that's huge. We can't actually see it. Okay, let me fix that somehow. It says, "Alt-right nonsense? I'm not the right. I only bought politics since a global game is at stake for being unionized." Presumably they mean I'm not on the right and I've only brought up politics since a global game is at stake for being unionized.
Yeah, they don't know how to speak English on BlueSky. You should probably be aware of that. Yeah, people don't know how to communicate on this platform. Every time you go in there, make sure you bring a translator with you.
Which would make other countries be upset. I seriously can't believe you think that anyone disagreeing is alt-right. Disgusting behavior by you.
Mr. Pokey should post on BlueSky.
And the second screenshot saying, "Still shouldn't be union, because being union affects other countries' laws and stuff as well." So like I said, Karina and other VAs are upset on their BlueSky accounts with people who are criticizing their union rhetoric. That takes us back to this thread, where we can once again see Karina responding to that, saying, "So you're going to ignore that you said these alt-right anti-union talking points?" To which she gets into it with this other guy, Eric. Eric saying, "Those opinions are not alt-right. You're using a label incorrectly to deflect and discredit a different opinion. Why not ask why they believe what they do? If they are wrong, then provide information, not opinions. And they might change their view. Help us learn and be open to learning from others."
That's a pretty based message coming from one of the most... I'm not going to say it.
But Karina says this. Dane saying that an American...
You remember what I said on nobody on BlueSky being able to type proper English? It's just all right. Here's exhibit B, ladies and gentlemen.
Union, someone has control over another. Wait, hold on. What? Saying that an American union, someone has control over another country's laws, is in fact an anti-union alt-right talking point. Not an opinion, because it is literally not possible. If unions had control over other countries, then fiancé's union for McDonald's quolls have made every McDonald's.
What is she even saying, bro? This is not understandable. And 3 people liked it. You literally cannot understand anything she's saying, and 3 people liked it. I have to assume that she wrote this after like 5 screwdrivers or like 6 or 7 Moscow mules. What is she? Fiance's union for McDonald's qualls? Maybe she wrote this while she was vomiting into the toilet. Yeah. Jesus Christ, dude. You could just proofread what you wrote before clicking the post button. You could reread it a single time. You could reread it at least 1 time.
Worker in the US make way more money and have healthcare. Wait, that was such weird phrasing. What the frick? If union.
That's not even a phrasing issue. This is a fucking grammatical holocaust. I don't even know what the fuck she was even trying to communicate here. This is one of the worst paragraphs I've ever seen in my life.
Unions had control over other countries' fiancés' union for McDonald's quolls have made every. It seems like it could be a copy pasta, bro. Like one of those nonsensical copy pastas. I'm gonna try one last time. If unions had control over other countries, then fiancé's union for McDonald's quolls have made every McDonald's worker in the US make way more money and have healthcare. Okay. So yeah, then Eric responds and says to Karina,
he understood what she said? Hey, props to fucking Eric. Props to fucking Eric. You know what I bet? I bet if we click into like Eric's profile, maybe he works in like special education. Maybe this is an audience he has experience in.
Your words, including the screenshot we'll take a look at. Unions, quote-unquote, influence each other. If Hoyo signs the SAG contract, SAG could influence unions in other countries.
True.
Hoyo could have multiple unions in other countries banging down their door with more contracts.
True.
Not all of them will be fair and reasonable. Influence can be harmful.
Yeah, like think about it, right? What he's saying is that if Hoyo bends to the will of these dumb Americans, then maybe the Euros, maybe the Australians, maybe like the other Asian countries will like try to get a slice of the pie because they crumbled to the demands of the SAG-AFTRA, the American Union. Yeah, no, what he's saying makes sense.
And the screenshot included of Karina saying this just the other day. And SAG doesn't have control over other unions in other countries. Unions influence each other, but it's the same thing like the British Actors Union.
I don't think Karina remembers what she posted the other day. Because if she's going ahead and she's saying that videos posted from her own TikTok are AI, I don't think you can possibly think about trusting her to remember a previous post that she made in the past on BlueSky. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. I think that referencing her own words is one of the worst things you can do in this argument.
Also influences us. That just happens because actors work together.
Or that post was just AI. Yeah, no. That BlueSky post was just AI.
Then Karina goes off, saying, China doesn't have unions. We can't influence anything there. Also, it's as much influence as an influencer telling you to go buy a certain product. They can't bargain on the behalf of workers in another country. Not how that works. Like when the British Union for VAs gets a certain perk, that might influence us American VAs to ask for that same perk. But that's like how the frickin' internet works. That is not SAG going on behalf of the workers, which they can't do in other countries.
I think I can understand what she's trying to say over here. She's saying that unions won't influence other unions. SAG-AFTRA can't influence unions in other countries, but unions in other countries get influenced by unions in other countries. Nah, there's no way she's actually... Is she, like, as smart as Paimon in real life? Is she just method acting Paimon right now? Because she basically just said that one thing is true, and then the same exact thing is not true. No, there's no way. She's not reviewing anything that she's writing.
You think it's bad that workers would fight for better working conditions if they see people in certain countries having better working conditions? Because right now, us in the US, we are actually asking for the same protections our Chinese actors are getting. They influenced us. See how that works? Eric responds, saying, no, I don't think it's bad to fight for better working conditions. I think your heart is in the right place, but your interactions with people discussing concerns are really making things worse.
Yeah, and probably the #1 reason why it's making things worse is because I can actively feel my IQ going down with every single fucking BlueSky tweet I read from her account. I literally feel myself getting stupider with every passing letter.
Karina responds, saying, again, if people are bringing up alt-right anti-union nonsense, like this person originally brought up, that SAG can control other countries' laws, which they can't, that is not a person that is arguing in good faith, and pointing out that this person did that is how conversations work. Eric says, stop labeling someone else's opinion as alt-right just because you don't agree with it or understand it. I keep trying to extend the courtesy to you that you're refusing to give to others. Nobody is bringing your political views into question or dismissing your opinion because they disagree.
I see. Karina right now, she's using the global passive that the internet has been using for such a long time. You're wrong because you're racist. You're wrong because you're XYZ. You're wrong because of ABC. I'm going to disregard every single point you're making and just say that you're falling into like this one group. You're accused of this one thing. And so everything that you're saying, even though it's like actually true and makes a ton of sense, you're alt-right, you're racist, you're wrong. Yeah, that's been the global passive for the past couple of years, and it's been shockingly effective. It's been shockingly effective in conversations. The BlueSky user signature move, yeah.
Karina says, stop trying to label an alt-right talking point as exactly what it is. You're actually not being courteous. Dismissing the truth is actually not courteous at all. I just didn't know like Karina was one of these people who constantly goes off about like, oh, that's alt-right, this is alt-right, blah, 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 blah.
Anyone that uses BlueSky, it has a built-in spell checker, right? BlueSky has a built-in spell checker where if you like horribly misspell a fucking word, it will like put the red line under it, right? That's the thing that's on the platform, correct? I think Twitter has that built in as well. BlueSky has that as well, right? Or am I horribly off base with that one? Isn't that just normal autocorrect? I mean, she's just letting everything fucking loose, and like, there's at least one typo in every message she's sent on this platform. I have to think that. I think she just doesn't care.
So I find that interesting. Here's something else interesting. Because we can see Karina also responding to Noah Gibson saying exactly this. Noah Gibson responding to a deleted post, presumably the one that Karina was responding to before and going off on before that other individual, Eric, was trying to defend the person that Karina was going off on, who deleted the post. And Noah Gibson, if you watch my prior segments on the Genshin VA stuff, you might remember this person because they gave us one of the most hilarious quotes in the entire Genshin VA situation, which is saying a lot. So back in my video titled Genshin VA for Paimon.
I remember this fucking dude. He was like going up to bat. He was like Karina's #1 white knight. He was like over here, he was like, Milady, Milady, you must address this slander immediately. And then he ends up like baiting her into saying the dumbest shit she could ever possibly say. He like baited her into saying the dumbest shit she could possibly ever say in this situation.
Has complete lost it. We had Karina making that excuse of like, oh, it was just AI. That video of me wasn't actually me, right? Like you can see here. Oh yeah, Noah Gibson said, so this is AI and you've never said this? I agree that YouTubers don't know anything though. Link.
Who needs enemies when you have friends like this? Who needs enemies when you have white knights like this on your side? It's like, you know how Pokemon has like a tag team move, right? Where you can like pair up with like another member of your team? Yeah, they did that and they both hurt themselves in their confusion.
Linking to that video of Karina's crash out, which Karina said, yes, that is AI. And yes, the YouTubers do know it. They just don't care. But then, going back to where we just left off right here, someone responded, Corn specifically, saying, is this not your TikTok account? And linking to that very crash out video on Karina's TikTok account, to which Noah Gibson then said, at Karina, this is bad. You gotta say something fast. You gotta say something fast, Karina. This is bad. They have evidence. You know, stuff that we're allergic to. Evidence. Oh no. Let me also mention this really quick because I forget if I mentioned this before, so I'm just going to stuff it here to be safe. But yeah, Noah Gibson does claim to also be a voice artist. Is that like a voice actor, I guess? But
yeah, what does a voice artist mean? What is this, like those people that work at like they work at like the call center for like Google, or they work at like the call center for Microsoft, and they say that they're a software developer. Is that like the same thing? Like, you guys know those people that do that, right? They work at like the call center and like, hello, how may I help you with your Microsoft Word membership? And then they tell people that they work in SaaS.
But yeah, voice artist. And so now going back to the current stuff, we've got Noah Gibson, that person. Once again, Karina seems to like this person a lot. Let's see. Noah Gibson says, you don't have to be alt-right to fall for anti-union propaganda. Unions are net positive things. I'm in a union at my workplace, so I know firsthand how much they can improve your work environment and wages. You are heavily uninformed by whoever keeps feeding you false information. Karina says exactly this. There is literally verifiable evidence of how SAG-AFTRA has hurt its own members in various ways, something these people seem like they will never admit to. For example, I previously discussed in a different video how SAG-AFTRA changed their own healthcare policies in ways that negatively impacted thousands of their own members, disproportionately also impacting senior members, and these were people who paid into that healthcare plan for decades that SAG then threw under the bus.
I mean, hey, let's be real here. If we're thinking about it from a pure corporate angle, ladies and gentlemen, that's a cost-effective cutting measure. Because guess who has more medical issues in the population? All the old-ass motherfuckers. Yeah, they're getting like fucking Alzheimer's, like cancer. They're getting all that shit. Yeah, cutting their health insurance benefits is 1000% the best way to save money. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. But unfortunately, yeah, it's a terrible fucking thing to actually do to people. It is a good way to save money, but yeah, I don't think the optics on that are pretty good, if I'm being entirely honest. Yeah, I don't think it's very good at all. Probably a good thing for their shareholders, yeah, but not a good thing for the populace.
And those seniors even brought forth litigation against the union, to
Good.
which SAG then desperately settled out of court. But now going back to the start of this conversation, what kicked us all
Good.
off, do you remember how Karina was responding to this person, presumably Crystal? I showed these two images that were included, where we can then presume Crystal had also said something in this deleted post here. Well, we have an update on Crystal, because it looks like these VAs, like Karina and Noah Gibson, have apparently bullied this person into submission. We can see right here, Crystal ends up saying this. I messed up. I'm sorry. I didn't fully understand the strike. I wasn't well informed, even with what I learned of the strike. I thought that someone was being a bully by calling someone a scab. Little did I know, it was just a term when someone crossed the picket line. I thought that scab meant a scab on society. So that's why I was saying that the VA was a bully and that I don't support them.
I mean, she's not even wrong.
If I knew that there were two meanings of scab instead of one, then I wouldn't have viewed it as bullying. When I kept seeing the word scab being used by that VA, I thought they were purposely bullying them. I know that my words for saying that VA was a bully may have hurt all VA. I am with all VA because I thought, well, since this person said scab, that they mean a scab on society, block.
Imagine getting gaslit this hard by somebody who can't form a coherent sentence in text. They can't even write something. They can't write a paragraph that makes sense, grammatical sense. And you got successfully gaslit by them. Jesus Christ. Okay, there's obviously the problem with like the whole gaslighting happening by Karina. There's also the issue of Crystal. You need to grow a fucking backbone. Like, you gotta stop being told what to think by people. Sometimes your gut intuition is there for a reason, and let's be real here. Your gut intuition in this situation was entirely fucking correct, because Karina is, without a doubt, an absolute bum. Yes, they are a bully. They are 1,000,000% somebody that is causing issues. They are a scab on society. Your first take on this was the right one. And you, unfortunately, did not have the spine and the backbone to stick by your beliefs, and you got bullied into thinking that you were wrong and needed to correct your opinion. And that sucks. It's unfortunate, but it happens all the time. And I bet it happens a lot on this platform, because I'll repeat what I said at the start of the video. People on this platform are like, they're pussies. And that's why it's kind of like good that they've like quarantined themselves from the rest of like society. But it also can do a lot of bad, as you're seeing over here. Becomes like an echo chamber of people just gaslighting each other. It's like a fucking coal mine at this point.
I know that this apology won't be forgiven for who I have called a bully, and that my misunderstanding of the word scab. I now know the two definitions of them and what they mean. Thank you for reading this if you have come this far. At Karina, I'm sorry. And Karina responds, saying, Hey, no worries, misunderstandings happen. This is why I wanted to believe you and kept talking to you yesterday. I'm glad that we can come to this understanding now, and you still don't have to like me. I know I am prickly as a person, especially over text, but you're clearly a good person, and you doing this shows how good of a person you are.
I feel like I'm watching an abusive relationship live. I felt like uncomfortable reading that and listening to it. Oh my gosh. I feel like a slap on the face to all parties involved would help so much.
This is such gaslighting
Yep.
because the word scab is an insult. It's not just a term for when someone crossed the picket line. They literally, in Union history, this term was literally chosen to be a nasty sounding word. It's intentional. Like, it's not just coincidence that scab is like, oh, a scab from like a wound or whatever. And they also use the word scab in this context too regarding this union stuff. No, it's very specific why they picked that word.
I don't think anyone would like to be called a scab. I don't think there's any situation where the term scab would be positively received by pretty much anybody. Nobody wants a scab because having a scab implies that you got like fucking cut or that you got injured. And nobody really wants that unless they're like, you know, a freak.
Back in the 18th and 19th century, the word scab also apparently evolving from the word scoundrel.
Oh.
And so if Karina was honest, in my opinion, what Karina should do here is explain, you know, what scab really means and that it is indeed an insult. But of course, Karina isn't going to mention that, right? Of course. No, instead, they're happy to try and mislead people into, oh, no, we would never bully anyone. Harass Jacob Takanashi or harass anyone, bully anyone. No, of course not. And so part of the reason I wanted to talk about that was because it was also giving me flashbacks to when Karina was basically bullying this person, this YouTuber, Darkos88, because you probably are familiar with this by now, but quick TLDR, Darkos88, according to my recollection, made a YouTube short that was talking about how Karina was trying to get people on TikTok to email Hoyoverse demanding that Hoyoverse sign their agreement, the union agreement, or however they're phrasing it for their strike or whatever they want to call it. And so people in the responses to that YouTube short were saying like, no, don't do this. The agreement's probably bad for X, Y, and Z, you know, going and listing reasons why they disagree with what Karina was demanding. But essentially they were saying like, no, don't listen to Karina and definitely don't email Hoyoverse demanding that they sign this agreement. And so Darkos88 then made a video, a follow-up video, saying that he was basically sorry for blindly just going along with whatever Karina had said, and that he should have looked into the situation more, and he sees the critiques that people have towards the union agreement, or once again, however they're phrasing it now. And this ultimately led to Karina seemingly making that crash out video that's now become like iconic.
And that's apparently supposed to be AI. It's all AI, guys. This video that I made myself, it's just AI. Dumbass.
And also this whole rant on Twitter that you're only seeing a part of here, but basically being very toxic towards Darkos88 over this, and eventually getting Darkos88 to delete the video and even apologize. And it just reminds.
Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, Darkos88 lost a massive amount of aura from this one. Imagine getting bullied by somebody with no eyebrows. Just tell them to fuck off.
Reminded me of how she was treating that person over on BlueSky too. And in closing, this all circles me back to Jacob Takanashi and how we saw VAs like Karina attempting to bully Jacob into submission.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I do believe all the gloves are off when it comes to this VA, when it comes to Paimon's VA. I remember at the start of, like, this arc, I was once, like, feeling a little bit bad or a little bit wary of, like, hurling around some, like, playground insults. But at this point, after seeing the active gaslighting, after seeing, like, the fake attempt to, like, farm sympathy points by, like, vomiting into a toilet, but then proceeding to talk perfectly coherently for, like, 8 minutes, I don't think I care anymore at this point. And I feel like the community as a whole, they don't really care either. I think that she has failed spectacularly in pretty much every single way possible when it comes to managing the public's perception of her. And at the start, when it was like just Jacob Takanashi, I think that it was something that she could recover from. But at this point, it's like she's just too socially unaware and probably just too malicious of a person to understand why people don't like her or why people aren't happy with her or like why people want her recast. Because after all that's happened, to go ahead and like go on like this gaslighting brigade, and then probably the best part about all of it, right? Or really the worst part about all of it, like go and be like, don't worry, little bird. I'm glad that I could educate you and get you making the right decision, even though all I was doing was actually just gaslighting the shit out of you into thinking that
I did no wrong, even though I am unequivocally the worst fucking person in this situation. Hope this helps. Like, I cannot believe that this is like the response that she's going for in a situation like this. It's just actually absurd at this point. And she already did it too. I'm glad he brought the receipts about Darkos 88. RIP his backbone as well, right? It's just, she has a history of doing this shit. But I guess it's not really going to work anymore. I don't think it's really going to work anymore. I think people aren't going to fall for the bait next time.
And in closing, this all circles me back to Jacob Takanashi and how we saw VAs like Karina attempting to bully Jacob into submission.
Who would have thought that fucking Kenichi from Genshin Impact would have done all of this damage? This recasting literally 1v3'd, like 1v4'd, like several careers, and low-key kind of just like ended them all. I cannot believe this all happened because of a guy who had 2 recorded roles in the past, just simply took on the role of fucking Kenichi, and this is what has become of all of this. Is she fired? I don't think she's officially fired, but I would not be surprised if something happened, because players, I don't think there's anybody that likes her. I haven't really seen a single person defend her. I have never seen somebody unilaterally this disliked in the history of Genshin Impact. I don't know anybody that's on her side. I don't know a single person.
And in this case, submission probably wasn't just apologizing, but also giving up the role because they were so upset that he replaced John Patnois, I think the name was, as he hadn't voiced the role for like 6 months, was refusing to work for like 6 months.
For a strike that didn't exist. John Patnois, however you pronounce it, was refusing to work in solidarity for a strike that did not exist. I bet he feels so dumb right now. I bet he feels so unimaginably stupid right now. That's kind of funny, to be honest. Yeah, losing your job on one of the biggest gacha games ever, striking in solidarity for a strike that doesn't exist. He is a generational bag fumbler. That is a generational bag fumble. Yeah, I haven't even thought about how he feels about this whole situation. He probably feels so dumb, it's unbelievable.
A part of this collective work refusal thing. So Jacob Takanashi accepts the role. Very grateful for the work, very thankful for the job, and all his other VAs team up on him and harass him. In this case, trying to get him to submit to their demands, which was
ancestors are gonna feel it? Yeah, no, his kids are probably gonna make fun of him for this.
Probably not simply an apology, but also giving up the role. And as we all know, that ended up backfiring tremendously on these VAs, but we can still see how some of them are on BlueSky. For example, in this video, Karina and Noah, as we went over, are still trying to insult people who dared criticize the union, therefore then labeling them alt-right and trying to get them to apologize, etc., etc. And it's really impressive, actually. It's astonishing how stubborn these VAs are, receiving so much reasonable criticism from people, pointing out issues with how they treat others and issues with their rhetoric, and what do? Oh, they double down. That's what they do. Yeah, this ain't character growth. This is like negative character growth from these people.
I don't even think it's doubling down. I feel like at this point, we're at the point where we're maybe quadrupling or quintupling down. It's literally only gotten worse with every single passing moment.
People, that's where I'll leave this one. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, gotta say, awesome vid by Hirohei. And we gotta think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. Hirohei is going ahead. I'm surprised I haven't subbed yet. He's doing something that nobody wants to do to create this sort of content and expose, right, the nasty behavior that we're seeing more and more of every single day. Bro is going on to fucking BlueSky to get all of this glue. Bro is actually going and subjecting himself to the mental torture of looking at BlueSky tweets and BlueSky messages to get to the bottom of all of this shit. Let's be real here. Bro is an absolute soldier. Bro is making massive sacrifices, active loss in IQ, a degradation of his mental well-being to get all of this stuff over to us. So a big W to him for continuing this arc. I'm gonna be real, I'd probably end up with an aneurysm if I was on that website for too long. So with that, let me know what you all think. Peace.